Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I'm Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of Cat by Rebecca van Laer. This is a book coming out October 2nd, 2025 from Bloomsbury Academic. It is a nonfiction book. I received this from ARC from NetGalley in exchange for a fair review. I am stumbling over my words today. A deep dive into cat guardianship and how animals impact our lives. Cat is a fun little nonfiction that raises interesting thought points. What's it about? Rebecca van Laer and her partner purchase a home and move in with their senior cats, Toby and Gus. Their loved ones see this as a step towards the inevitable future. First comes a house, then a dog, then a child. But what if they are just cat people? Moving between memoir, philosophy, and pop culture, Cat is a playful, tender meditation on cats and their people. Van Laer considers cats' roles in her personal narrative, where they are mascots of laziness and lawlessness, and in cultural narratives, where they appear as feminine and maladapted, especially in comparison to dogs. From the stereotype of the crazy cat lady to the joy of cat memes to the grief of pet loss, Van Laer demonstrates that the cat-person relationship is free of the discipline and independence required by parenting and dog parenting, creating a less hierarchical intimacy that offers a different model for love. So this book is part of this series called Object Lessons, which I'm guessing are deep dives into mundane or everyday objects such as randomly, and this is just chosen from their list, bread, eye charts, gin, high heels, hotels, mushrooms, pencils, and this one is obviously about cats. So if you love cats, this is less of a history lesson or a focus on the creature's biology. It's not a bunch of cat facts. It doesn't talk about how cats were treated in ancient Egypt, things like that, but how a woman's personal cats affected her life and helped her make some life decisions. First of all, her cats sound super cute. Of course, I'm going to, go off on a tangent here and talk about my own cats for a second. I don't have a cat at the moment. My little one, my youngest daughter, is allergic, we think. So we might get her tested later on when we decide if we want a cat at some point. I would love one, but my husband's not really on board right now. My most recent cat, though, was Miss, a.k.a. Little Miss, a.k.a. Risotto. That was her real name, but no one ever called her that. She was a feisty thing who scared everyone she met, even though she was like maybe 8 pounds, and she terrified our 80-pound dog, Ruger. She passed away suddenly last March. She started walking like she was drunk, and I was like, what's going on with you? And then she stopped eating, so I took her to the vet, and they did a neurological exam, and they said she probably has a brain tumor, so I had to put her down. I also grew up with cats. My first was my sister's when I was about 8, a Burman named Lemonade, who puked everywhere and was very skittish. And then my second was Pata, that we got when I was around 14. And she was a fluffy, kind of random stray who also puked everywhere and refused to cuddle. I loved those cats, but they were never really like my cats. It's funny because she says in the book that, we're unashamed if our cats are assholes, and this is entirely true. People would say that Miss was a little shit, and I'd just be like, yeah, she was. She is. She stands up for herself. I used to joke when I left the house because we had a pug and the big dog, and I also would be like, Miss, guard the house. Like, that was my kind of thing I would say to her as we left, and she would. If people came to feed her when we were, like, away, she would, like, try to attack them. Anyway, back to this book. It's great for past and current cat owners because you can relate to a lot of what she talks about regarding how they treat you and how different each cat can be. I'm sure it's the same with dogs, too. Like, each dog is different, but cats... she talks about this in the book as well. The cats are like just such a different kind of animal than any other kind of pet you can have. They're just so insulated. They have an interiority that dogs don't really have. And I just think that that's interesting as well. Now, there are some mentions of animal abuse and neglect in the book because she charts her life in relation to the multitude of cats that have been part of her life, some when she was a child. So this is not a fluffy book about our lovely feline friends, but she touches on a lot of aspects of the critters' lives, and some of those things are not super happy. But it's not depressing. It's kind of like reality, because if you had cats, cats pass away. It's just like everything. The book also raises some really interesting talking points, like the difference between cat and dog lovers. I actually can't really relate to this at all because I love both of them completely equally. I love cats for certain reasons and I love dogs for other reasons. I'll try to pet any pet, really, even if it's snakes, and I love lizards. I just love animals in general. So for me, I'm not a cat person or a dog person. I'm kind of both. And I think that, I think a lot of people are like that. Even my parents who have cats, I wouldn't even consider them to be cat people. The book also mentions the concept of cat ladies, but not in depth enough to form kind of like a real critique. Personally, I think single women prefer cats because they require less care than a dog. You can leave a cat for a week with just a few check-ins and it'll be totally fine. You don't need to worry about coming home on time like you would for a dog. Cat lady is said to be an insult, but I think that's created by men who want to make it so. Because really, a cat lady is a woman who is very independent. She's not only able to take care of herself, but she's able to take care of any other creature. And that creature also isn't tied to her hip like a dog would be. The book has sort of a plot, but it's more about the ideas raised by the events that happen in the author's life than the story of the author's life. A big part of this is her decision whether to try and have a baby. The writing was solid and easy to follow as well. The idea behind it of focusing on these kind of everyday objects is cool too. I wouldn't say it's my favorite book of the year, but I thought it was a really solid, interesting, short little book. It's I read it in an hour, I think. So yeah, it's great. I'll totally check out some others in the series, I think, if I can get a hold of them. Let me know in the comments whether you have a cat and what the cat's name is and what funny little quirks the cat has. Yeah, so thanks.